This is the real story told in court during the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, shared by Inner City Press. When the comedian Cat Williams walked into the courtroom, nobody laughed. The funny guy who always makes wild jokes in videos was now serious and under oath, and what he said made a lot of people in showbiz nervous for years. Just so you know, this story is for learning and fun, but it might not be for everyone. The big names Cat had been talking about, Jay-Z, Tyler Perry, Kevin Hart, Steve Harvey, T.D. Jakes, Ricky Smiley, and others, are now being mentioned in court papers for the Diddy case. Cat said all the secret parties, the private agreements, the hidden cameras, and how people's careers were controlled, all of that was part of Diddy's world. And it wasn't just about Diddy. Cat said there was a whole group of famous people involved. At first, people in the courtroom didn't know what to think. Reporters whispered, social media went wild, but there he was, Cat Williams, wearing a suit. This wasn't a funny show anymore. It was a warning. Cat didn't just talk about things, he showed proof. And the famous folks he named? They might never get over what he said. Cat walked into the courtroom seriously, not joking around. He had a folder in one hand and a serious face. The whole room went quiet when he sat down and promised to tell the truth. Then he spoke in the same voice people knew from comedy shows, saying, "Let me say this once under oath, with no joke, I warned you all years ago." He told the court he had been trying to speak up about this for over 10 years, but nobody took him seriously because of how he said things. "When you make people laugh, they stop listening," he said. "But I wasn't just being funny, I was telling the truth in between the jokes." Cat shared that a long time ago, he started noticing something strange. He said the same famous people always went to the same secret parties. Then they'd disappear for a bit and come back with big deals, like movie roles or awards. One year, someone might barely be known, then a few months after one of those parties, they're starring in huge movies. That's when he said something big. They all have one thing in common, Diddy. "It's not just about music anymore," Cat told the court, leaning in. He said Diddy wasn't just a big music guy. He was the one in charge of something darker in Hollywood. "It's about power," he said, "because people know what they're willing to do and what they'll stay quiet about." Then he said something scary, "I'm not here because I want to be. I'm here because if I don't speak now, I could be next." That's when everyone realized this wasn't going to be a normal day in court. This wasn't going to be a regular witness story. It was going to be like a big storm. And every person he talked about was going to feel it. When they asked him to name names, Cat didn't even flinch. He said, "You want names? I've got names." Then he listed Jay-Z, Tyler Perry, Kevin Hart, Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey, LeBron James, T.D. Jakes, Ashton Kutcher, Justin Bieber, and more. These weren't just random people or gossip names. These were huge stars in music, movies, and TV. Cat said they had all been to the parties, events, or private meetings that Diddy either hosted or set up. And those weren't the fun Hollywood parties people think they were. Cat said they were more like tests to see who could be trusted, not fun hangouts. Think it's just a coincidence they all say the same stuff and defend the same people? Nope. They know someone's watching, or maybe even recording them. Cat said Diddy kept secret info on everyone. Videos, photos, emails. And he didn't just collect it, he set it up on purpose. He used the parties to gain power. People had to give up their phones, sign secret papers, but hidden cameras were still rolling. Think being famous is just about talent? Some of the people I mentioned couldn't even fill a school gym. Then Cat talked about the patterns, like actors getting surprise movie deals, comedians going on big tours with no warning, or singers suddenly popping up on the radio without doing any promo, but with help from Diddy's team. "I'm not saying everyone at those parties did bad stuff," Cat said, "but I am saying they all knew what was happening, and that makes them part of the problem." He ended that part of his talk by saying these stars wouldn't be as big without the help of that powerful group. When Cat said the name Tyler Perry, the courtroom got tense, and Cat saw it. He looked straight at Diddy, then turned to the jury and said, "Let's talk about the media. This isn't about being a man or woman, or acting, it's about secret power and symbols," he explained. "Do you think someone gets $1 billion studio just from wearing a wig and making church jokes? No, it was a deal. Kat said Tyler Perry's early big breaks, his first studios, and his early fame were all part of a deal. He said when the first Tyler Perry movies like Diary of a Mad Black Woman and Medea's Family Reunion came out, Diddy's people were handling things like media passes and getting celebrities to show up. That wasn't just random, it was all planned. They gave Tyler a path to fame in exchange for loyalty. Then Kat said something new. Tyler's first movie events were secretly supported by Diddy's team. I saw him at one of those parties having fun, and Kat said that once Hollywood really accepted Tyler Perry, he started staying away from anyone who might tell the truth about him. Tyler didn't want people to know who helped him become famous, because then they'd start asking questions. Kat also talked about other actors who changed a lot after working with Perry, like Lamb and Ruckertime. Durant, look at how they acted before, and then look at what changed after. Then Kat said something that would spread all over the internet fast. He said Tyler puts out new stuff every year, new shows, a new wig, and a new paycheck, but never uses his fame to talk about what really goes on at those secret Hollywood events. Then Kat paused and said, "That's not entertainment, that's obedience." Kat looked at the jurors and said, "Let's talk about the golden boy," right when Kevin Hart's name came up. He said, "You think Kevin Hart went from BT Comic View to billion-dollar movies just by luck? And that it's normal to go from canceled TV shows to selling out stadiums?" Kat was saying Kevin's big success wasn't just about being funny or working hard. Then Kat talked about something that had gone viral online, how he turned down $50 million to keep his dignity and not do something he wasn't comfortable with. He said that line wasn't just a joke. He was trying to say that Kevin agreed to do something Kat would never do, something real, something people don't talk about in public. Unless it's in quiet whispers, nobody talks about this stuff in Hollywood. Kat said Kevin's career blew up after he got connected with producers who were part of Diddy's business team. Kat said if you look closely, you'll see Diddy's name or his company in a lot of Kevin's projects. Movies, Netflix deals, and partnerships. Kat also said Kevin went to a bunch of private Diddy parties, including one in Miami had a special gold room setup, just like what Cassie Ventura talked about in her own court case. That's when Kat dropped another surprise. He said Kevin wasn't just someone who went to the parties, he was more like a helper. Kevin was the friendly face who made new people feel safe. That's why he was always around, but somehow never showed up in any videos or pictures. After that, Kat said that other stars lost deals, had tours canceled, but Kevin was given the green light for Ride Along, Night School, and Jumanji. He said nobody gets 3 hit movie franchises in a row unless someone important says yes. Then Kat ended with a sharp comment. People say Kevin Hart is funny, but that laugh came with a price, and I wasn't willing to pay it. After that, Kat turned his attention to 2 more names. He said he had it all on Dodgy's rise to fame, and how their careers helped hide the truth about how power really works behind the scenes. He was talking about Steve Harvey and Ricky Smiley. Kat started with Ricky. Ever wonder how Ricky Smiley went from prank calls to being in movies and having a big radio show? Kat said it wasn't because of the jokes. It was because of the dress. He said Ricky only started getting big roles after going to certain parties in Atlanta thrown by Puffy. Then Kat dropped a big one. He said he added a rule in his own contract that he wouldn't work with Ricky again unless Ricky wore a dress, because that's when he was most believable. Kat said he wanted everyone to see how people are rewarded for going along with the system. The Southern team of stars wasn't just invited for fun, they were trained. They were picked for being useful, for staying quiet, and for following the rules. Kat said Ricky's first big Sunday role, where he wore a wig and a dress, was his sign of going along. Then Kat talked about Steve Harvey. He called him the godfather of commercial obedience, because Steve followed the system's rules perfectly. He showed the pattern. You want the money? Then you know what you've got to do. And Steve did it. Kat said Steve got higher and higher in fame by playing the media game and staying quiet. He saw what Diddy was doing, but instead of calling it out, Steve took his daughter to dinner with Diddy, even though people had talked about Steve's daughter dating Diddy's son Justin. What kind of dad does that? Kat asked. One who's in too deep. Kat also said Steve stole ideas, including a show idea Kat had written back in the early 2000s. That idea later became the Steve Harvey Show. Kat said, "That was my show. They just changed the name and city and gave it to someone who said yes. And Cat didn't hold back when he said it. The whole courtroom got really quiet when Cat said the next name, T.D. Jakes. He didn't joke or smile. He said it slowly, like he was loading a bullet into a gun. "Let me explain how this works," he began. He said Steve Harvey became famous by hosting shows, writing books, and pretending everything was fine, but he stayed quiet when it really mattered. That silence cost a lot. Cat said Diddy's team used the church like a hiding place, not a holy place. He claimed that when T.D. Jakes gave sermons at concerts that Diddy sponsored, it wasn't to save souls, it was to clean up Diddy's image. Cat said Jakes gave a church-friendly mask to cover the dark parts of the entertainment world, throwing concerts with velvet ropes and VIP sections. One huge claim that made headlines was this. Cat said Jakes didn't just pray for Diddy, he helped cover up his messes. He said Jakes told some gospel singers not to talk about what they saw at events tied to bad boy entertainment. Jakes told them to stay quiet or it would hurt the church. But Cat asked, "What about the victims?" "If you were a church leader who asked too many questions, you got pushed out," Cat explained. "You didn't get on TV, didn't get book deals." He said donations, huge checks, and public charity events were used to keep people quiet. Cat even claimed that Jakes knew about a sex scandal involving one of Diddy's assistants, but told everyone to handle it privately. Then Cat looked calmly at the jury, then at the lawyers, and said, "You want to know why nobody says anything? Because everybody already knows." He added, "There's nothing wrong with God. But there's a lot wrong with the people pretending to speak for him." Then he said the line that shook the room. "When you use religion to hide sin, you're not a prophet. You're a pimp in a pulpit." Cat said people were being watched. For years, rumors floated around about what really happened at Diddy's famous parties. The rooms, the candles, and the celebrities changed, but the biggest secret wasn't just what happened. It was that it was being recorded. Cat said some people told him there were hidden cameras in the houses and hotels where the parties were held. "We're talking about tiny hidden cameras," he said. Fake ceiling tiles, hidden furniture, and secret backups sent to computers that weren't Diddy's, but belonged to his team. He made it clear, these weren't just for safety. They were for control. Cat said, "You walk into one of those rooms, do something foolish, and now Diddy has something on you." He said it didn't matter if someone was rich or famous. They could still get trapped. Cat claimed many famous people had told him their secrets, not just what they saw but about the videos that existed. One man told Cat, "If those tapes ever get out, I'll never work again. My family would cut me off." Cat didn't say who the man was, but he said the fear was very real. Then Cat mentioned a so-called straight gay man cheating on someone. He brought up Ashton Kutcher's old comment, "What happens at a Diddy party stays at a Diddy party." Then Cat asked the judge, "Why do you think people say that?" "Because they know what happens, and they know it's being recorded." He said those videos explain why so many celebrities suddenly went quiet, changed their careers, or started focusing on charity work. Cat said blackmail wasn't just an idea, it was a system. He said the videos weren't random. They were saved, dated, and used as weapons. "This isn't just about parties or secret tapes," he said. "It's about control." He claimed Diddy made a digital vault, and anyone who got too confident at one of those parties is probably in it. As the courtroom sat in silence, Cat leaned into his next topic. He started talking about Dave Chappelle, who famously walked away from a $50 million deal. People called him crazy and said he ran off to Africa, but if you really listen to his comedy specials, he was giving us clues. Cat said when someone's called crazy, it's a way to ignore them. That's what they did to Chappelle because he didn't want to play by the rules. Then Cat reminded everyone about Martin Lawrence. "You don't just quit. You don't just say no, not after you've seen what they've seen." Then Cat listed more names, Jaguar Wright, I'll Be Sure, and others. He said these people didn't just lose it, they were trying to escape. Martin ran down the street waving a gun, yelling, "They're trying to kill me." Cat said, "That wasn't just a breakdown. That was someone under pressure, trying to warn us." Cat said, "When you speak up, they call you a liar. Then they say you're crazy. Then you just disappear." He pointed to himself and said, "Remember when they said I was on drugs? They said I was losing my mind. I wasn't high, I was upset. I saw how this whole system works, and I tried to tell people, but instead of listening, they laughed at me. He explained that after he talked about Kim Porter's death or Diddy's parties, people started calling him unstable. It's always the same trick, Kat said. That's why so many celebrities stay quiet. They've seen what happens to people who speak up, so they keep quiet. They sign the deals. They keep smiling. Then he said something heavy. He told the court that Diddy had been watched, investigated, and followed by people for weeks. 3 black SUVs with no license plates were outside my house. And still, no one would report the story. They try to destroy you with fear, silence, bad labels, or by making you disappear, Kat said. I know this because they tried it with me. As Kat stood up for his final words, the courtroom went completely quiet. Everyone was listening closely. He turned to look at Diddy, then back to the jury. You think this is about parties or gossip, but it's not. It's about power and what people are willing to do to keep it. Kat called out more people, record labels, music bosses, assistants, and the people who control who gets famous. It's not just Diddy, he said. He's just the face of it. There's a whole system behind him, and they're all part of it. He said this system rewards loyalty through money, fear, or secret videos. Every time a comedian gets a big Netflix deal, or a new singer gets a big record deal, ask yourself what they had to say yes to. Then Kat looked at the judge and said clearly, I'm not suicidal. I don't own a gun. I love my family. So if something happens to me after this, just know I didn't do it. The room stayed completely still as Kat kept talking, even softer now. They asked me to sign something. They offered me a check that would have changed my life. But I said, no. He looked out into the crowd. His voice shook. To those who think they're safe, your time is coming. And to the victims who are still scared, I see you. I made jokes and tried to warn people through comedy, he said, because if I told the truth directly, they would have taken me out. Then he added, but now I've said it clearly. Now the whole world knows. He looked Diddy in the eye. You didn't just ruin lives. You built your empire on those lives. But today, that empire starts to fall. As Kat walked away from the witness stand, the judge called out, Mr. Williams, do you have anything else you want to say for the record? Nobody clapped. There were no cameras flashing. Just silence. The kind of silence that comes when the truth finally cuts through the noise. Kat stopped and turned around slowly, like he had just dropped a huge weight but still had more to carry. Yeah, he said. There's more. He took a deep breath and pointed, not at Diddy, but at the reporters, the cameras, and even the court reporter who wasn't writing anything down. You're all waiting for the next headline, wondering who'll be arrested next. But really, you're waiting for permission to admit you already knew. You saw it. You just didn't say anything. This isn't something new, he continued. It's not even about me. It's about a whole generation that's been lied to. They were shown fake images of success and kept away from the truth. You heard the rumors, he said, but you didn't want to believe your favorite rapper was involved, or your favorite pastor was part of it, or your favorite actor gave up their soul just to get a movie deal. Then Kat walked slowly to the jury box and lowered his voice again. I've seen too many good people disappear. Kim Porter, Andre Harrell. People who wanted to speak but never got the chance. I'm here now because I do have the chance. And I will speak. Behind all the lights and money, there's a cost, he said. Some people pay with their bodies. Some pay with silence. Others pay with their lives. You may think I'm just a comedian, Kat said, but I'm also a witness. And I'll never forget what I saw. He stepped back, looked at the judge, and gave a small nod. Then he left the courtroom, not just carrying his truth, but leaving behind a warning. Everything that was hidden is now out in the open.